Rain hammered against the window pane with a vengeance. Tonight, the storm mirrored the unsettled feeling I couldn't seem to shake. Moving to a new city, a new apartment, it was supposed to be an exciting change, right? Why did I feel so isolated, so small? I tried not to dwell on it. After all, I was about to enjoy one of the few comforts familiar in this new life: takeout pad thai and a crap horror movie. I scrolled through the endless choices. Something so bad it might be good. Perfect. My stomach rumbled into agreement, just as the doorbell rang. Delivery time, I chuckled to myself. It was probably pathetic getting this excited over food. But hey, sometimes it's the little things. Fumbling for my wallet, I threw open the door. The delivery guy wasn't what I expected. No cheery uniform, just a soaked hoodie and jeans. His eyes fixated on me, not with the usual polite boredom, but with something hungry. Annoyance flared. It was late, and I was starting to get a weird vibe.
It smells good,
he rasped, and had taken the liberty of walking inside my place as he spoke. His voice was oddly low, a stark contrast to the high-pitched whine of the wind. Yeah, well, can I get my food? I retorted, probably a bit too harshly. He held up the large bag, which was funny because I only had one plate. But his bag was the kind you could put whole family meals in. But as he held the bag up, he was still staring. A chill ran through me that had nothing to do with the storm. My hand shook as I fished out a few bills. I had added the tip automatically through the app, but not wanting to interact any more than necessary at this point. His jaw clenched.
Dude, you seriously tipped that?
The contempt in his voice felt way over the top for a food delivery. Yeah, there's a service fee on the app, includes the... I trailed off. The delivery guy's intensity was ratcheting up my own unease. Service, he spat the word.
We're the ones out in this crap risking our lives for peanuts.
Each word was accusatory, like I had somehow wronged him personally. Okay, now it was beyond awkward. I took a half step back. Look, man, this isn't my problem. I paid for the food.
Think people like you get away with undervaluing us?
His voice had risen, cutting through the rumble of thunder.
Always looking down on the guys keeping you fed.
Fed up, I started to walk toward the door to ask him to leave. Whatever, just a knock echoed from behind me. I froze, the hairs on my neck standing on end. No one else should be out on a night like this.
Mark?
A voice muffled through the door.
Looks like there's a dispute here. Officer Danvers just checking in.
Officer? My heart pounded. Part of me was relieved. Another part screamed this was even weirder. Swallowing hard, I hesitantly opened the door. A man in the police uniform stood outside, but something was off. The badge looked cheap, the uniform ill-fitting. Before I could question him, the delivery guy piped up.
Officer, this guy's causing a scene. Refuses to tip properly. Threatened me.
Threatened? Now I was really freaked out. Hey, wait, that's not... I began to protest, but the fake officer cut me off.
Sir, please calm down. We don't want this escalating,
he said in a tone meant to soothe, but something in his eyes wasn't reassuring at all. I should have called the real cops right then. But my brain felt muddled like it was wrapped in cotton. The air in the hallway thickened, choking me up. It was like all my worst instincts were screaming in unison. Bad situation, bad vibes, get out. But my legs wouldn't move. The fake cop, Officer Danvers, as he called himself, gave a subtle nod to the delivery guy, like they were a freaking tag team about to body slam my common sense.
Mark, how about we work this out? Just adjust the tip and everything will be fine,
he offered with a thin smile that did nothing to hide the hard glint in his eyes. Adjust the tip? I started to laugh. It came out sounding slightly hysterical. Are you guys for real? Over a few bucks.
It's the principle.
The delivery guy practically snarled, stepping toward me.
Don't tell me you haven't walked all over people below you, the little guys, to get what you want.
His voice was trembling now, fueled by some kind of deranged anger. That hit a nerve. I'd grown up without much. Scrape my way through school, always having to work just a bit harder than everyone else. Listen, I spat out, voice shaking. I work help desk for a tech company, okay? Busting my butt to get by. Don't you dare tell me. I felt a surge of panic as the delivery guy lunged. But before I could even flinch, the fake cop grabbed him, pinning him back. Danvers might be twice my age, but he moved with surprising strength.
Let's all just chill.
Danvers ordered.
Nobody needs to get hurt here.
His tone left no room for argument. My heart hammered like it was trying to break free of my ribs. Hurt? What the hell was going on? Suddenly, the rain outside seemed like the least of my concerns. The delivery guy struggled, spitting accusations about how customers always exploited them, how I wouldn't get away with it. His words washed over me, blurring at the edges. My eyes darted to the door, now a tantalizing symbol of escape. But between me and freedom stood these two, a twisted duo straight out of some whacked-out nightmare. Danvers gave me a long, calculating look.
Mark, how about we close the door? Get this settled out of the elements, away from prying eyes.
He gestured toward the hallway. There was a subtle emphasis on the last bit that set off another wave of fear. No way in hell was I closing that door. The delivery guy piped up again, quieter now, an unsettling determination in his gaze.
See? I told you. Guys like you think those fancy apps make you untouchable.
He shook his head.
We see right through it. Those of us who've been dealt the bad hand over and over.
He trailed off, his words hanging heavy in the air, the unspoken threat clear as day. His mention of a bad hand was unexpected. It struck me then. This wasn't just about a tip. There was a desperation to them, an anger that went beyond my crappy takeout order. I needed to change the game, stop reacting and start thinking. I took a shaky breath. Look, man, I didn't mean to offend. You're right, it's tough out there. Hell, I can increase it, whatever you think's fair. I forced a shaky smile, trying to sound reasonable, stalling for time. A flicker of triumph crossed the delivery guy's face. But just as the tension seemed to ease the tiniest bit, I remembered something. Something chilling. Before all this craziness, I'd been scrolling through online forums. There was some stupid thread about delivery drivers. Some urban legend about a twisted network of them, preying on unsuspecting customers. It was the kind of stuff you laugh about, chalk up to internet weirdos. The memory slammed into me with the force of a rogue wave. My blood ran cold. No way this was a coincidence. There was something more sinister at play here, and I was their damn target. The tension tightened like a noose around my neck. The delivery guy was watching me closely, anticipation playing at the corners of his mouth, waiting for me to slip up. He was buying my act, but for how long?
Mark, relax,
Officer Danvers said, placing a hand on my shoulder. The touch felt heavy, foreign, wrong.
Nobody's out to hurt you. We can work this out.
Work this out? Like we were negotiating a business deal, not standing in the middle of a horror movie, with me as the helpless victim. Every fiber of my being wanted to scream, run, fight, but logic held me in its iron grip. I had to play along, at least until I could figure a way out.
So, Mark, let's get this sorted. Give this hard-working guy a proper tip, and we can all walk away happy.
Danvers continued. My hand slipped into my pocket, fingers brushing against my phone. If I could just dial 911, maybe... Sir, I don't mean any disrespect, but could you show me your badge again, I asked, trying and failing to keep the desperation out of my voice. Danvers gave me a bemused look.
Something the matter, son?
His hand instinctively went to his waist, then paused in midair. A flash of something like surprise registered in his eyes. I pressed my advantage. You don't mind, do you? Just protocol, right? He offered a tight smile, then fished the badge out. I pretended to examine it, buying time as my mind raced. It looked cheap, like something ordered online. The edges were too sharp, the eagle emblem skewed. And the name? Why hadn't I noticed before? Daniel Danvers seemed almost cartoonishly fake. My heart began a sickening drum roll. No way a cop would be that sloppy. My phone was my only hope, but when I subtly fished it out, the screen was black. Dead. Of course it was. Danvers was studying me now, suspicion replacing the faux joviality.
Problem, Mark?
His narrowed eyes bored into me. The delivery guy seemed to sense the shift, too, straightening up like a hunting dog catching a scent. I needed to change tack, to buy even a few seconds. Panic threatened to swallow me whole, but I choked it back. Look, I'm not trying to cause trouble, I lied, my voice deceptively calm. There's been, stuff happening in the city lately.
Stuff?
The delivery guy sneered.
You mean people finally getting fed up with being treated like trash?
I held my ground, aiming for concerned citizen. Break-ins, Makes a guy think about safety. Would you mind if I just make a quick call to the station? Verify everything's official. The change in the atmosphere was palpable. Danvers's posture stiffened. The delivery guy's eyes narrowed. Then, just as the silence stretched to the breaking point, my doorbell camera chimed. Both men jumped, their surprise mirroring my own. I'd completely forgotten about the damn thing. But in that moment, it might be my Hail Mary pass. Probably just a notification, I muttered, trying to seem nonchalant. I'll get the door. I dashed to the door before they could object, praying the camera had some kind of emergency alert. The screen lit up. There, bathed in the harsh glow of the camera's night vision, were my two tormentors, their faces clear, their ill intent impossible to deny. With shaking hands, I triggered the violence detection alert. A surge of hope flared within me. Maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance. I inched backward, putting space between myself and the two increasingly agitated figures. The delivery guy was breathing heavily, his eyes darting from me to the door as if expecting backup to burst through. Officer Danvers's hand now hovered near his waist. Was he going for a weapon? I had streamed the live feed from my doorbell camera on the main television when I activated the violence detection alert. There they were, trapped in the stark black and white of the security footage, looking almost demonic in the stark lighting. My mind raced. Had the alert been sent?
Mark, cut the crap.
Danvers's voice was low, menacing. He took a step forward, as did the delivery guy, closing in on me like predators cornering their prey. That's when I saw it. A barely perceptible flicker of red on the camera interface. The emergency signal. It had worked. Relief washed over me. Then a sickening realization. They knew. All pretense of friendliness was gone. The delivery guy lunged with surprising speed. I stumbled backward, my hand hitting the doorframe. Behind me, the kitchen. Knives. A desperate surge of adrenaline pushed me into action. I whirled around, snatching a butcher knife from the drying rack. "Stay the hell back," I yelled, waving the knife wildly, more out of panic than any real self-defense skill. They froze. The knife seemed to break the spell of the moment. Fear flickered in their eyes, their bravado crumbling under the threat of a very real, very pointy weapon. They exchanged a look. Something unspoken passed between them. It was over. Not with an arrest and justice, but with something far more terrifying. A silent agreement to cut their losses. Before I could react, they were scrambling toward the door. I didn't try to stop them. As the fake cop shoved past, he threw over his shoulder.
This isn't finished, Mark. Count on it.
The chilling threat echoed in the empty hallway as the door slammed shut. My legs gave out and I collapsed to the floor, the knife clattering from my numb hand. Safe? Maybe. But the word felt hollow. That look in their eyes. The promise of retribution. This was far from done. A sudden wail pierced the night. Sirens. It took my muddled brain a few seconds to process. The police, the real police, were coming. A wave of relief washed over me, then crashed into a sickening sense of dread. What would I tell them? Some crazy story about a rogue delivery guy and a fake cop? Would they even believe me? I stumbled to the door, throwing it open. Police cruisers screeched to a halt outside, officers spilling out, weapons drawn. I put my hands up, the image of armed cops a grim mirror of my recent nightmare.
Mark?
A voice, a woman's, cut through the chaos.
Are you all right?
Somehow I found my voice, croaking out an explanation. The officers exchanged skeptical glances, then a search yielded nothing. No delivery guy, no Officer Danvers. With mounting frustration, I insisted on them viewing the doorbell footage. There, in undeniable clarity, was the evidence they needed. The officer in charge, Sergeant Evans, watched the video, her expression hardening.
You're damn lucky that camera was hooked up, kid,
She muttered, then started barking orders, a flurry of police activity erupting. Later, alone in my eerily quiet apartment, another wave of adrenaline crashed, leaving me bone-weary and sick with dread. The delivery bag, the fake badge, everything was now in police custody. They found a hidden compartment with zip ties, duct tape, a switchblade, an arsenal that backed up all my worst fears. A report had come back. The delivery guy's bike had been found abandoned a few blocks away. The two men were now wanted as suspects in a series of robberies, some connected to missing people. My nightmare had been a small piece of some vast, horrifying puzzle. The network, it was real. I updated my security system, double-bolted the door, but it did little to ease the sense of eyes on me, the whispers of revenge swirling in my mind. Exhausted but unable to sleep, I did what brought me some semblance of normalcy. I ordered food. An hour later, the doorbell rang. My heart pounded anew. With shaking hands, I accepted the delivery. No disheveled stranger, just a regular guy doing his job. Yet, my shaking hands continued as I took the bag inside. My phone buzzed. New message on the delivery app. My blood ran cold. It wasn't a receipt. It was a single sentence. We know where you live. My stomach lurched. I wanted to throw the pad thai in the trash to scrub myself clean of this whole cursed night. But I knew it was evidence now. Then, my eyes fell on the takeout container. A greasy stain marred the white cardboard. But it wasn't grease. It was a crudely drawn eye, underlined with a jagged, mocking smile. That's when I knew this wasn't over just yet.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Quantum Dispatches and stay tuned next week for another thrilling adventure. Thank you for listening.